Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to LinkUps, a video series connecting the Muslim community to each other by sharing its voices. As you can tell, today was a little bit of a rough start because I did not realize that I was on air. So apologies for that awkward silence in the beginning of the video as we began. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm happy to see everybody today for the LinkUp video series. In the beginning of the program, I like to remind our viewers the goal and purpose of this program, which is to be a diverse and inclusive platform to have candid conversations that affect us all as a community. And I am your host, Atika Sayyida, the co-founder and development and financial director of Sanat. Before I move on to the primary topic of today's video series, what I would like to do is talk a little bit about the frequency and the format of the moving forward. As you began this video series just about a week ago, we've had two wonderful speakers, Sister Fariza Ghani Ali and Sister Sadia Sohail the past week. And one video was shared where I named a section called So You Ask, and where we answered questions by people that, like yourself, are supporters that may reach out to us and ask us questions. So what we are actually going to do moving forward, we will still have the programs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but on Tuesdays, we will commit the entire 10 to 15 minutes of the program to this particular section called So You Ask. And what we will be doing is answering a question that one of our supporters or viewers or a friend asked, and we will be answering that question for you online. On Thursdays, inshallah, we will resume with the program as usual, in which we will have our guest speaker that will come and talk about the issue and the theme that may be at hand for that particular week. So in today's program, what I would like to do is, if you guys watched my video the last time where I began to talk about and began to answer a question that one of my friend and a Sanat Prep parent asked, her name is Sister Safia Ali, and she asked that she wanted to ask us for some practical tips on how to deal with difficult behavior in children. And I gave advice about a week ago in which I gave a very generic advice, and the advice revolved around a very simple concept, which is listening. So the advice that I gave was, well, you have to listen to the child. Before you want to correct their behavior, before you want to help them understand or help them cope with that behavior and how you should deal with it, the first step in that process is the listening process. And I know that may sound very generic and very cliched and very easy, but it's not. That's the first thing. And the second thing is identify a difference between active listening and inactive listening, and there is a difference. Just because we're listening to children, just because we may be paying attention to them, doesn't necessarily mean that, or doesn't necessarily mean that it's sufficient that their behavior will be corrected as a result of us listening. So in this particular video, what I would like to do is I'm going to take about share 5 pieces of advice or 5 key points in the listening process. What exactly is listening to our children mean? What is the purpose of that listening? And what do we do with that listening? So if we do ask our children to share with us what's bothering them, what's going on, and they do end up sharing with us what's happening, what do we do with that information? And many a times, the answer is not so obvious. So in this particular video, my hope is to share based on my own personal experience, first and foremost as a mother, and then obviously as a educator, who has been dealing with children for the past 1 decade. This is honestly based on hard evidence of what I've been able to do with my own children and what I have been able to do with my own students for the past 10 years as an educator as well. At the end, I'm going to share a very small, brief example of something that my son asked me yesterday, which I think just will sum up the entire advice. So what does listening to our children actually mean? And the 5 steps that I would like to share with you is help them by listening to them. Why are we trying to do that? We're trying to do that so we can understand the causes of their behavior. But what is active listening? Active listening begins with the first step, which I feel is the cornerstone and the holy grail of any communication, whether it be between a child or a parent, a child or a guardian, or even adults, and that is honesty. So the first key to listening is provide an opportunity for an honest communication, an honest and open communication. If the child that you're dealing with does not feel that your effort, at the heart of that effort, there is no honesty on your part, then your words, merely your words, are not going to suffice, and you're not going to be able to far with that communication. Second is sincere concern. Having sincere concern and concern based on the first attribute I said was honesty. You have to signal to the child that you genuinely care and you want to help. That is the active part of what it means to listen to a child. If you are not able to show and express to the child that you have sincere concern for them, they may be, like the expression goes, just, listening on deaf ears, they, that can be that can go between a parent and a child as well, or a guardian and a child, where the child may feel like everything they're communicating to you is just falling on deaf ears, because although you may be hearing them, you're not necessarily actively listening to them, because you're not doing anything with the information that they're. And this happens a lot, and this can lead to a lot of conflict and a lot of resentment in children. So it's really, really important that the child understands that not only are you genuine and sincere concern for them. Number 3 is genuine trust. Trust. You have to set a precedent, and that can help earn your child's emotional trust, that you are willing to and are open to hearing their input, and you're just not presuming what they may be experiencing. We sometimes like to believe that we have our children's trust, but trust is a very precarious attribute, and it's not static. Of course, generally speaking, our children have a lot of trust in us, but when there's a conflict or they may be acting out, at that moment in time, it's extremely, extremely important that you set a precedent in which you let them know that you're not presuming anything. You're not presuming that you understand why they may be acting out. And in order to do that, what you have to do is you have to gain that emotional trust from them by showing your into them, even if what they may be saying is you don't agree with it. You may think that it's irrational, even if you think it's illogical. It doesn't matter, or perception of their truth, and you have to give them a fair opportunity to listen to them. And when you do, that's what builds genuine trust between a guardian, a child, between a parent and a child, or a guardian and a child. Number 4, role modeling positive behavior. And the beauty of this process that I'm describing to you is, by the time you get to the 4th step of role modeling positive behavior, thus far, everything you have done will already signal to your child that you are interested in listening to them. You're being honest with them. You have sincere concern for them. Hopefully, you've earned their trust. And at this point, they will be able to identify with you as a role model or credible authority in what needs to be communicated to them. And so we as parents do play a big role in being a role model to our child, but unfortunately, as much as we would like to believe that we automatically become that role model for our children, we don't. Credible and authentic role modeling requires effort, requires deliberation, and role modeling positive behavior is extremely important. And listening, going back to that very simple advice that I gave in the last video, which is listen to your children, a part of active listening also means that you role model positive behavior, which means that you're showing your child that communication is a really powerful tool, and that by having a conversation and using that tool of communication can be a tool for them to find a healthy and positive resolution to whatever it is that they may be dealing with. In this particular regard, we're talking about children that they may misbehave. The last thing, the last fifth component that I would like to share with you is communicating expectations. It's extremely important that we be very clear in what expectations we have of our children. And this listening process can be a powerful tool for us to listen to our children, us to pay attention to what it is that they're saying to us, to understand what is it that may be the cause behind their misbehavior. And it becomes an opportunity for the parent and the guardian to earn that credibility with the child and really outline for them what is our expectation of them. And in that conversation, most children will be intelligent enough to recognize that they may be falling short of that expectation. And at that point, what you have to do is you have a big responsibility. You have a big responsibility to make sure that at that point, when your child has recognized, or even if it's someone else's child that you're taking care of, that they may be falling short of that expectation that you had of them, what do they do with that? Now what? What's the next step? And at that point, it becomes extremely important that you offer a shoulder, you offer support, and you offer help to them, and let them know that you're available for them, that together you will figure out a resolution, that you can outline some clear expectations of what good behavior can look like, and give them very real and concrete examples that if they are struggling with and they are having an outburst of anger or behavior issues, what is a possible alternative? So they can get ahead of it, and they can try to identify that own behavior and ask for help. Identify it and then come to you and ask for help and say, this is what's happening to me. I don't want to, behave like that again, where I'm falling short of the expectations that we agreed upon. So, help me. And I cannot, as a mother and as an educator, express to you the power in that particular incident when a child feels comfortable enough to be open and communicate what's really happening to them, and take the first step to say, I need help and I want to correct this behavior. Because the reality is that none of us, whether it's our children or even adults, like misbehaving or falling short of an expected behavior, which is sometimes described as adab. Right? What is the proper set of behaviors that we should be abiding by as adults as well as. I think that is the key. Those things are the key to what it means to really actively listen to our children, and provide that support system for them so that they feel comfortable, open enough to have those conversations with us. And I know I'm making it sound like it's easy, but and it is, to be honest with you. If you follow those 5 steps that I described, which I'm going to summarize for you right now. Number 1, be honest. Number 2, show sincere concern. Number 3, gaining through those 2 things, genuine trust between you and the child. Role modeling. 4th, role modeling positive behavior. And 5th, communicating expectations. You'll see that it's actually a very powerful tool that you can use to get cooperation from our children. So I have just 1 more minute for announcements. I'm going to end the video very soon, inshallah, in a minute. But before I go, I do want to make an announcement. I wanted to share that story with you about my son. I think we're going to have to hold that for next time. Inshallah, when we have our guest speaker, I'll leave 1 minute for that fascinating question that my son asked me. So what this means is that you have to join the next video, inshallah, to find out what my son asked me and how I responded to him. But it was a question that I was taken aback by. I'll just say that. I do want to announce here that we have a new exciting service that's being launched by Sanat Preparatory called Sanat Prep Online. We are very proud of this service. Our staff, especially our Sanat Prep coordinator and our co-founder, Rehan Mirza, they've spent a lot of time developing this program for you. I encourage you to visit our website. and check it out for yourself and register for this upcoming academic year. Please remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we hope that you stay safe. And if you want to know what Jamal, my son, asked me and what response I gave to him, make sure you join me on Thursday, inshallah, with a very special guest speaker on Thursday and the answer to the question that I gave to Jamal, inshallah. Thank you so much for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.